Good evening, Mr. Shiner. We are now live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit for November 24th to order. Okay, first item is Pledge of Allegiance. Will please put the Pledge of Allegiance up at this time. We have a flag. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Next item is recognition of some folks who are no longer with us. The first of which is a previous board member and president, Ron Slater. Dr. Conway, could you give us a quick description of Mr. Slater, which we will follow with a moment of silence?
Thank you, Mr. Shiner. Unfortunately, a former WIU board member and board president, Ron Slater, passed away recently. He served on the board from January 2006 through November 2015. He served as board president from July 1st, 2010 through June 30th, 2015. He was the board president when I came on board to the organization and was well loved and provided great service to the intermediate unit. So with that, I do ask for a moment of silence.
Okay, thank you. We also have had the unfortunate passing of Dana Hall in the Jeanette City School District. And board member Michael Jones would like to speak.
Yes, it's our community lost her. It was very unexpected, but she was a Jeanette graduate. She grew up in Jeanette, worked for our district for 17 years. And she really appreciated greeting everybody in with a smile and a warm welcome whenever she did see people. She really engaged in conversations with the staff, but especially our students. It really made her, and she made feel special each and every day. She was a role model in our community who always lended a helping hand. Ms. Hall will be truly missed and will never be replaced in our hearts. Our thoughts and condolences go out to the family, friends, and the Jeanette community. Just like to take a moment of silence for her as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that both of these individuals will very much be missed. Thank you, everyone. Now I'd like to move on to roll call for tonight's meeting.
Mr. Shiner?
Here.
Ms. Beveridge? Ms. Bretz?
Here.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez?
Here.
Ms. Sioka?
Present.
Mr. Feldbush?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Kendris? Mr. Leonard? Ms. Maines?
Here.
Ms. Mock? Mr. Pekarsek? Mr. Pekarsek? You're muted, Mr. Pekarsek.
Sorry.
That's okay. Ms. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Schrock? Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Urban? Okay, 11 present, 6 absent.
All right, thank you. I'd like to announce that prior to our meeting this evening. The board met in the executive session and focused on personnel, legal, and safety issues and some contractual issues. Okay, citizen comments on the agenda. So I am not aware of that we have received any comments tonight.
That is correct, Mr. Shiner.
All right, thank you. And now I'd like to move on to approval of the minutes of the October 27th, 2020 meeting. Could I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved, Thomas.
Second, Schmidt.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the October 27th meeting. If we can use an oral vote for this, so all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, on to section 5 of the agenda, financial reports. In this section, there are several items to approve. Items FR 2021-19 through FR 2021-22. Those are the treasurer's report, payment of bills, and ratification of investments. I'd like to have a motion to approve all three of these items.
So move Feldbush.
Second, Maines.
Very well. Is there any further discussion on these items? If not, I'd like to have a roll call vote for approval, please.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Pekarsik,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes,
11 yes, motion's carried.
very well. Thank you. On to board committee reports, executive services. I would like to make a few remarks, primarily in regard to our efforts in regards to protecting all in our organizations during the COVID-19 pandemic. This whole issue has been a real challenge for everyone in all of our school districts, not just the WIU, but all those in Westmoreland County as well. We're in the midst of a surge in the coronavirus in our county. We have seen over 100 or up around 200 cases a day are occurring within our county. And the directions and the requests that are coming from Harrisburg through the PDE and the Department of Health are changing. There were some recent changes this week, institution of a new form, and it makes life very challenging for all of us. And I'm just speaking now in terms of the school board. It's been challenging for us, but I also know that Dr. Conway has been up to his neck in dealing with these issues, and that all of the staffs on the WIU board or the WIU employees who report to Dr. Conway and throughout our districts have been sorely challenged, and they're doing a great job to keep things going. The good news is the schools have developed a very nice reputation that the social distancing measures that we're using work. And it's put us in some interesting situations where we seem to be able to fare a little bit better than society in general. But with the surge, we wonder how long we can keep that up before it gets bad enough that it can overwhelm even the measures that we're taking. So it puts us in a difficult position to try to figure out the best way to continue during this pandemic. So I wanted to pass along my sincere appreciation to all of the school districts and specifically to the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit for the conscientious approach that's been taken. We've probably been doing quite well in general with containing the virus and presenting its spread within our schools, but outside of our schools, the story is not so fortunate. So thank you very much. Thanks for everybody for all of the efforts. That's all I have from the executive services point of view. Let's see. Curriculum services, I don't know if there's anything to add. Jennifer, do you have anything to add? Jennifer Bretz, I thought she was here, but I'll just assume there's nothing to add. All right, next is financial services. Bill Feldbush, anything new to talk about here?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Student services, Sharon Mock, anything there?
Yeah, Mrs. Mock is not in attendance this
Oh,
evening.
she's not in attendance, okay. And then on to technology, infrastructure and services. I know Bill Leonard is not here either. So unless Gretchen, I think, is here. I don't know if there's anything to report that you're aware of, Gretchen. Is there?
No, it looks like Mr. Jones is the only one present for technology.
Ah, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. On to your Don, Jason.
All right. Well,
That's the director report.
thank you, Mr. Shiner. Very much appreciate it. I will be brief this evening. Just wanted to give the board an operations update in terms of our programs that we do offer. As it's been mentioned, we've seen a soaring number of cases within the county. We continue to be in substantial, and we have continued to follow the guidance of the Department of Health as well as the PDE when it comes to operations within substantial. First, Dr. Thomas, except for Clairview, would you just give us kind of an overview of the operations, and I'll address Clairview at the end.
Sure, Dr. Conway. All of our employees at the Greensburg Partial, all of our early intervention sites, our work discovery program, our TAC team, the youth shelter and the detention center, which are operated by Westmoreland County, all of those employees are in a telework status. We do have very and highly segmented in-person activities, such as minimal amounts of evaluations that have to be conducted in person in our EI program. All of those facilities are either those that are operated by other entities, such as in the case of Greensburg Partial, Centerville Clinics LLC. They make the decision on the operational modes of that. Because those facilities are closed, all of the services are being delivered to families and children, young adults, via Zoom and via a remote learning status. Most recently, the detention center and the youth shelter went into that format last week. Many of our other programs and services have been in remote since October 28th. We do have no ability to Zoom into the Westmoreland County Prison. So we do have one employee that is, but never more than one student or one young adult at a time in that situation. And all of our administrative staff, so that includes those that are administrative specialists to administration and supervisors, are choosing to work remotely or in person on an as-needed basis.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Thomas. So in regards to Clairview, we have followed the recommendations. So when the county went substantial for 2 consecutive weeks, we did move students to full remote. Even though we went back to moderate for just 1 week, again, it's 2 consecutive weeks in which they recommend changing your instructional model. We continued with the remote model, and then the following week, we then did go back to substantial, and we continued ever since in that remote process. We did identify some specific needs that we just could not meet when it came to remote learning, especially centered on physical therapy, occupational therapy, as well as from some speech and language pathology therapies that students weren't receiving in remote. So we did decide to offer those therapies to students on a one-on-one basis. So at this current time, we do have 12 students that come to Clairview at staggering times, much like a doctor's office, that they would come in and for their appointment and could be there for as short as an hour or as long as 2.5 hours, because they're getting all of their therapies back to back to back. And I know Colleen Suchko and Becky McGee have done a great job of organizing that. And they are taking all of the precautions that have been identified by the state with masking and cleaning and so on. Which brings me then to the second part of this Clairview item, is the adaptation form that is needed to be completed by every single LEA by Monday, November 30th. And as I'm sure you have been discussing at your home district boards, the IU also has to complete that form as well. And in talking with Mr. Shiner late this afternoon, we believe we're going to identify us as option number one. Option number one basically allows us to continue to provide those therapies for students in PT and OT and SLP, those 12 students that come to Clairview. Where if we would select option two, we would have to cease those therapies. And these are just simply therapies that you cannot provide this via remote. And so that's why we're going to submit, unless there is an overwhelming belief of the board that you want us to go full remote and not offer those therapies, we can address that in a board motion if need be. We will continue to operate Clairview as a school under the consecutive model, in that we will not return to in-person instruction in congregate settings until we see 2 moderate county levels. That, of course, is pending any type of state revision of guidance under substantial, but as it's currently written, we would then wait until we have 2 consecutive moderates before we would move to a in-person instructional model for Clairview. So any questions from the board around the attestation form that Mr. Shiner and I have to complete by Monday?
I just would add the comment to all of our board members that when Dr. Conway and I discussed this, I expressed that unless there was an objection from the board, that it would be sufficient for he and I to sign it and send it in without a formal board approval. And that's the way I would prefer to go, but I'd like to find out if anybody objects to that. All right, thank you. So that's the way we'll proceed.
All right. Okay, and then finally with operations, the administration building continues to stay open for staff only. We are not allowing any type of outside groups to come in or holding any type of meetings in a physical fashion. We do have most staff teleworking, where it's a hybrid, where they may come in 2 or 3 days out of the week and then telework for the rest of the week. We do have some that are full remote that are working virtually. I think we did a great job of preparing our staff at the administration building for that by piloting the telework procedures with Act 93 the previous year. And it rolled very nicely into what we're utilizing today. I know all of us are itching to get back in, being able to see each other, not on a screen, but in person. But that time will come soon. We just have to all do our part in trying to mitigate the virus. All right, so that's the operations part of my report this evening. Let me end my report with some kind of fun news to share with the group. As you know, we have spearheaded a project where we were going to stuff 1,000 backpacks and deliver them across the whole state. And that was going to be a team building activity through PAIU and the conference that we were the host of. But unfortunately, last year's was canceled, and the conference that's coming up is also in question. And so even though we love our conference room smelling like Coast soap from now until forever, we know that there are many needs that continue for students who become homeless. And so we decided to complete the project internally. And within 2 weeks, we took all of the supplies, we put them in 1,000 backpacks, and they were delivered across Western Pennsylvania last week. And so what I wanted to share with the board are just a few photographs from the trek across Western Pennsylvania. I just have to find it now where I put my documents. Advanced. Okay, give me a second here. It should be up here. Okay, hold on. Okay, give me 1 second here. All right, no, that's not how I want to share it. I want to share it this way. There we go. All right, so the trek started out early Wednesday morning, and our first stop was at Intermediate Unit 1. We went into Pittsburgh, as you can see there in Mount Oliver and their loading dock. We then headed up to Beaver Valley, Grove City. We were in Edinburgh, and then drove over to Clarion, spent the night. We went to Clarion, Riverview, went to Aaron IU in Indiana, and then over to Somerset for IU 8's Somerset office. And so we delivered close to 900 backpacks, and the other obviously stay within the county to be distributed. So I can't thank enough the team that works here at the intermediate unit for making this happen. It truly was a pleasure representing the organization and just distributing kindness all throughout Western Pennsylvania. And in each backpack, there's a little card that the child's going to get. And on that card, it basically says, we hope that you feel the love and compassion that this backpack was stuffed with, and that we hope someday that you will pay it forward to someone else. And so that's all we can hope for, as it gets paid forward. And so I wanted to end my report on a very positive note on just how great of a team we truly are in making this happen, and the impact it's truly having statewide. So thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to provide that executive director's update.
Thank you for your report, Dr. Conway. Next item on the agenda is the WIU Foundation. And I know that Mr. Leonard is not here tonight. So it's noted that there was a meeting held on November 10th of 2020. If anybody's got any information on that, please speak up.
Sure, I can speak to that. So we did have a meeting, a virtual meeting, and we also then agreed that we would hold a fundraiser, a lottery fundraiser, that you buy tickets with certain numbers, and then if your number wins, you win different potential prizes beyond that. If you're interested in any of those, you can contact our front desk, Dee, or Lou Ann Murtha, the president. That's always a fun gift to give for Christmas. If you're looking for something easy to buy someone, is of course the chance to win millions of dollars is always a nice gift for that. We do have another meeting for the foundation that's scheduled virtually January 12th. The group did decide to suspend any in-person fundraisers until the next school year. So those who have been waiting for me to call bingo are going to have to wait yet another year. That would end the foundation report.
Very well, thank you. There's no correspondence. There's no old business on the agenda this evening, and that moves us to item 11, Human Resource Services. In this item, there are several items for approval. HR 2021-27 through HR 2021-34. And I'd like to note that 34 was a late addition this afternoon. So that's on the current agenda that we're voting on. Now I'd like to ask, are there any items here that need to be pulled for further discussion?
Yes, I would appreciate if you would pull HR 2021-32.
Very well. Are there any other items to pull? Okay, since there don't appear to be, I would like to have a motion and a second to approve items HR 21-27 through 31 and 33 and 34.
Excuse me, Mr. Shiner. I believe that 34 needs to be a separate roll call, so why don't we just do 31 and then
Very well.
33.
We will do, okay, so I need a motion to approve items 27 through 31 and then 33.
So moved, Thomas.
Second, Kelly Rodriguez.
Okay, is there any further discussion on these items? If not, we need a roll call vote. Go ahead, please, Christy.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez? Ms. Callaway Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Sioka?
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Maines?
Yes.
Mr. Pekarsik?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Shiner?
Yes?
Ms. Bretz?
Yes.
11 yes, motion's carried.
All right, I would guess I'd like to move back to item 32 at this point. I believe it was Ms. Siorka that pulled it. Would you like to discuss what your concerns are?
I would like to split this into two separate. And my concern here is the funding for this position. It is a new position, the one. One of them is not, one of them is. And I cannot be in favor of creating a new position at this time. That was my request, why I wanted to split them.
Okay. Anybody have any further discussion on this? Okay, if there's no further discussion, I guess I would like to split it and we'll do a vote on each individual person under the school psychologist heading. And we'll do a roll call vote on each person.
And Mr. Shiner, we could then call it 32A and 32B.
All right. 32A will apply to the first individual that's listed in the agenda, and 32B will apply to the second individual. So I need a motion and a second to approve item 32A.
So moved, Maines.
Second, Schmidt.
Okay, is there any further discussion before we vote? If not, I'd like to have a roll call vote on item 32A.
Ms. Sioka?
I will be a yes, and I'd just like it noted, please, that this was a filling of a vacancy, this one. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsek,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
it's okay, Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez.
Yes.
11 yes, motion carried.
All right. Now we need to address item 32B. I'd like to have a motion and a second for approval of item 32B.
So moved, Thomas.
Second, Callaway Schmidt. Rodriguez.
Okay, is there any further discussion on item 32B? Hearing none, I'd like to have a roll call vote for 32B.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsek,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka.
No.
So we have 10 yes, 1 no, motion carried.
Very well. I guess I'd like to move on to item 34. It's on your screen in front of you. So anybody can refer to that for the details. But I guess I'd like to have a motion to approve item 34.
So move Feldbush.
In a second?
Second, Maines.
Very well. Is there any further discussion regarding this particular item? Therefore, it's been moved and seconded to approve item 34. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsek,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush.
Yes.
11 yes, motion carried.
Very well, thank you. Next agenda item is item 12, curriculum services. Under this heading, we've got 3 items to approve tonight, CS 2021 TAC 11 through CS 2021 TAC 13. Are any of these items ones you'd like to pull for further discussion? Okay, since I don't hear any requests for discussion, I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve these 3 items.
So moved, Thomas.
Second, Schmidt.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve these items. Is there any further discussion on any of the 3 items? Okay, hearing no requests for further discussion, we need a roll call vote.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsek,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
11 yes, motion's carried.
Very well. And on to financial services. There is one item here, item FS 2021 TAC 5. I need a motion and second to approve.
So moved. Jones.
Second, Schmidt.
Right, it's been moved and seconded to approve item 005. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, we need a roll call for this particular item.
Mr. Prakarsik,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines.
Yes.
11 yes, motion carried.
Right, on to student services. In this section, there are 3 items, SS 2021 TAC 22 through SS 2021 TAC 24. Are any of these 3 items you'd like to pull for further discussion? Okay, not hearing that any item should be pulled. I need a motion and a second to approve these 3 items.
Lou Callaway Rodriguez.
Second, Feldbush.
Very well. Do we proceed? Is there any further discussion on these items at this point? Hearing none, I request a roll call vote, please, Christie.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsik.
Yes.
11 yes, motion's carried.
Very well, thank you. On to item 15, technology and infrastructure services. Here we have 2 items that to be approved, and they are items TIS 2021 TAC 4 through 2021 TAC 5. Would anybody like to pull either of these items? Hearing that no items are pulled, I need a motion and a second to approve both of these items.
So moved, Pekarsik.
Second, Bretz.
Right, it's been moved and seconded to approve these 2 items. Is there any further discussion on either one? Hearing none, I'd like to request a roll call vote, please, Christie.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes?
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsik,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
11 yes, motion's carried.
All right, thank you. And now we're on to school board, item 16. There's one item for approval in this section. It's SB 2021 TAC 21. I guess I would like to have a motion and a second to approve this item.
So moved, Maines.
Second Schmidt.
Very well. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this item. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none. I'd like to have another roll call vote, please, Christie.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Shiner,
Yes.
Ms. Bretz,
Yes.
Ms. Callaway Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Sioka,
Yes.
Mr. Feldbush,
yes,
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Maines,
Yes.
Mr. Prakarsik,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
11 yes, motion carried.
Very well, thank you. Now we'll move on to section 17, board policy first readings. There are 3 policies to which changes are recommended, and those are items 2021 TAC 30 through 2021 TAC 32. And does anybody have any comments regarding these 3 policies?
So, Mr. Shiner, all 3 of these are contain recommended revisions from PSBA in the service that we subscribe to.
Thank you. I did read through them myself, and there were things that weren't, trivial changes, but a lot of them were kind of minor changes that were probably made for clarification purposes. But I didn't have any comments, and I just want to make sure that if anybody has any, that we hear what they are. Okay, I don't hear any further comments on those policies. The next item was for comments from citizens on non-agenda items. And as I mentioned at the outset of the meeting, don't believe we had any. So given that there are no comments there, that gets us to item 19, comments by WIU board members. Do any of the members of the board have any comments they'd like to share with us tonight? Okay, I guess things are all right. So now we need a motion to adjourn the meeting. I need to move a motion in a second.
So moved, Schmidt.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed?